Hey P1D fans, Clumsy here, and finally the Premier 1A is now available for X-Plane 11. This is by Carenado, and I couldn't wait. I got my hands the day it went out. It came out because I'm a huge P1D fan. I've been watching Premier 1 Driver for quite a while, and it's finally great to finally be able to fly his plane. So in this video, we'll be covering the features, the looks, the quirks I found, and I'll be asking some questions, so maybe you can also help me out, right? So it's a two-way street. Anyway, let's get going. So the model, as you can see, is pretty accurate. I mean, I'm not an expert, but from what I'm seeing, from what I see of the Premier 1A, it looks exactly the same as how it is in real life versus how they modeled it, both in the exterior and the interior. So we'll take a look at that. We'll explore the cabin later on. We'll go through the interior, but for now, let's go through the exterior and let us see what different options there are. Now, as with all Carenado planes, there's this ACO thing. Personally, I'm not a fan of it, but thankfully, you can actually use your mouse wheel to hide it, change the settings, the alpha, the transparency. So I like to keep it fully transparent, so all you have is just that white bar there. And then with the options, let me show it a bit though, so it's not confusing. Options for O, you can actually toggle some of these interesting mechanisms, like the main door. The animations are super cool looking. The rear baggage, the front baggage. You can toggle the GPU, the ground power unit. You can even change the livery from here, but I won't do that because it takes a few seconds for the livery to refresh. Right now we are November 461 Kilo Tango. That's going to be cool. And then you can toggle also the static elements, which are the covers, the chokes, like that. And you can also remove the window reflections, instrument reflections on and off. There's also the false window here, which is, from what I know, from what I've heard, that's a fake window. But if it's only 3 windows like this, some people didn't like it. So what they did was to actually put in another window, a fake window, just to make it more symmetrical, so that you can toggle that on and off as well. Yeah. There are several camera options in here, which is pretty nice. So you can actually have a bit of... you don't need to program each camera one by one. There's something that is predefined for you. And it's a good start for X camera, because when you start X camera, I'm using X camera here. Once you enable it, you will be it will be getting all those predefined angles as well, so you can reuse them easily. Yeah. So let's go to the cockpit here. Some of the samples are like the FMS look. You can see the quick looks here. FMS, the throttle, and there's the right wing, passenger view, things like that. But I kind of like X camera more, so I use them as a starting point, and then I tweak them as I go, as I would like. Okay, there you go. That's how the interior looks like, by the way. Pretty accurate as far as I can tell. All the buttons are exactly how they should be, based on the Premier 1 Driver's videos. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, I highly suggest check him out. Premier 1 Driver. Search him on YouTube. And he's like he owns a Premier 1A. And it looks exactly like this. Even the interior looks like this. That's how the passenger cab looks like, with the animated tabletop. How do you call it? You can even close the windows like that. Open doors and stuff. Close it. Same here. And the no smoking and the fasten seatbelt sign, I think, are reflective of this, are modeled as well. So if we turn on the battery here, and if we turn on the no smoking sign, it does enable, and the seatbelt sign. So they are reflected as well in the passenger area, which is pretty cool. Right, but anyway. So for this video here, I have a flight actually. Let's go to FS Economy. So I have a rented plane It's called Raytheon Premier 1 in FS Economy. I'm not sure why. Probably because of some other sim aside from X-Plane who referred it to this one. But we are coming from Fort Lauderdale and making our way to Cuba, actually, which is a bit of unknown territory for me. It's going to be 239 miles, nautical miles, and we'll be taking like 3 crates and 1 crew member. I don't know why, but fine. Alright, so that's the job we're taking today, and this will give us a good chance to explore the different features and the different quirks of this plane, and you can decide for yourself if you want to purchase it or not. Okay, so first and foremost, let us program the FMS. So what I see, Premier 1 driver, I'm going to call him P1D or Greg from now on, so it's shorter. What I see, so one of the quirks I notice immediately is that even if you turn on the battery, the volts are 0, but if you like flick it back and forth, then it updates. So it doesn't refresh automatically. That should be 28. The package, when you buy the plane, and I can't remember the exact prices, I think it's around 40 USD, correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, I had to purchase it as well because I really love this plane, thanks to P1D. So what you can do here actually is the package comes with several manuals, performance tables, normal procedures, emergency procedures, and whatnot. So you can have the checklist here. I'm not going to go through the entire checklist, but you can do that, and you can even simulate like there's an exterior inspection. I don't think everything is modeled in. Some of them are like for role-playing purposes, but it does help a lot with the realism. So I really appreciate this Carenado providing this very complete looking checklist. Alright, so it also comes with performance tables. To be honest, I have a hard time trying to read them still, but I'm guessing service ceiling is like the maximum altitude you should be at depending on the ISA deviation. And depending on the status, this is with engine anti-ice, this is with engine and wing anti-ice on. Climb speed is 220 knots, indicated airspeed, so we'll be following that. I think that might be the best rate. Maybe. If I read that wrong, let me know, okay? There's also the different performance tables depending on the pressure altitude, and if you want long range cruise or a high speed. Where was it? Let me just scroll here. Up, high speed cruise, long range or high speed, depending if you're looking for economy or for speed. And then you look at your weight and the ISA deviation, and then you have your indicated Mach here. So I guess that's like the ideal setting to be at in. Yeah, there's also at the very bottom here, stall speeds, takeoff flight path profile, and the most important one for me is this one, the takeoff speed and field length. So we'll be looking at this later, and we'll be computing the V1, VR, and V2. It also says the takeoff length here, and we'll be plugging that in the system. Yeah. But yes, as I mentioned, I won't be going through the entire checklist because it will take long enough as it is with all the things I want to show. So let's get started. Let's go and turn on the avionics first. What I see P1D likes to do initially is even before starting the engine, while it's still connected to the GPU, he already plugs in the root so that it doesn't take up fuel. Yeah, so it doesn't use up his precious fuel in the meantime. So everything is still open. If you go to the exterior, everything is still open. Passengers are not yet here. Let's plug in the flight path while we are still on ground power. So KF, and I have to click that first, KFLL, and this is using the default laminar FMS, which I'm not really that familiar with. The first FMS I was exposed to was already the Zibo, which really raised my standards. The laminar FMS is a bit more basic than that, but it kind of works. Yeah, it's not that bad. And if I remember correctly, is it MUCC? Let's go and review. It is MUCC. Okay, let me go back here. And yeah, apologies for the long video. I can already imagine how long it can be. More than 1 hour for sure. But you can fast forward to the stuff that you like. But I'm just going to cover everything. And I will have a few questions and you help me out, okay? Because I'm not an expert here, but I really love this plane because I really love P1D's videos. So this really is helpful for me. Now we'll ask the help of our friend Avitab, Aviator's tablet, and let's plug in KFLL. I can look at the, so this is a separate plugin. I can look at the weather here, the wind, but I can also look at the frequencies for the ATS, which is 135.00. So let's do that. Let's simulate this. Let's roleplay this. What I see P1D doing is the nav or radio is here in the second screen, and then the first screen has the leg and the other stuff. So he has this radio tuning for the second one. So that's 135.00. You don't even need to put the decimals in. Put that there, and then you can press this one to switch between the
Fort
frequencies.
Lauderdale, Hollywood, INTL information Foxtrot. 1100 Zulu weather. Wind 100 at 12.
100 at 12.
Visibility more than 10. Sky
Okay,
conditions
perfect.
2500
Temperature is
scattered,
25.
6000 scattered.
Altimeter
Temperature
is
25,
3002. Let's already
2.20.
plug that in.
Altimeter 3002.
Departing
Arriving
runways 10
10
left and right. Okay. We have
right.
Foxtrot. Okay,
Departing
good.
runways 10
Swap
left.
that back so that it's turned off. So when you actually change the pressure here, the altimeter settings, it also changes automatically the standby altimeter and also the one on the co-pilot, so they're all synced. So when I change that, actually this might be a better view. If I change this, you'll see those are all changing as well on the right side. This is very convenient for a single pilot flight and I like it. It might not be very realistic, but it's very convenient, so I don't have any complaints about that. Okay, good. Alright, so that means we are departing runway 10L. That is actually closer to us, and we will be taking the SID, the Beach 5 SID, I think is what I saw a while ago. Just trust me on this, okay? If you go back to the flight plan, then that should give us a good idea. And we'll just go direct because it's a bit the charts for Cuba and Sky Vector are not very comprehensive. Actually, there's nothing there. So let's go and look at the conditions in Cuba right now. Mike Uniform Charlie 080 at 12 knots. So runway 08 is actually perfect. Now, I have a bit of trouble with the ILS right now in the plane. With RNAV, I was able to capture the glide slope more or less, but with ILS, I have a bit of trouble. We'll try again now, but yeah, I have a hard time with it. So let's just pick that because I'm not familiar with the stars and the transitions. So let's stick with that. Go to the flight plan. There will be a discontinuity here. We can just delete that thing. And yeah, that will be how it looks like. So if you look at the legs coming from runway 10L in KFLL, we'll be taking the Beach 5 departure, and then we'll be heading straight towards the approach ILS 08. Yeah, that should be good enough. Alright, I'm happy with that. Now we set up the VNAV profile. 18,000 is the transition altitude. That means that's when the flight level comes into play. It depends on which country you're in, but in the US it's 18,000. Right? So let's keep that there. And also there's a speed limit of 250 knots under 10,000 feet in the US. So let's keep that as well. Target speed, I'm not really familiar yet. Let's just keep it as is. Here's the important thing, cruising altitude. Now this one I'm not really sure how to compute. So I'm just going to plug in a random number, flight level 330. And the descent, we'll be putting in a 3-degree descent. So that will compute the top of descent accordingly. The TD or TOD, depending on how you look at it. And once we execute that, so right now there's nothing. Once we execute that, it should plug in those levels. You can see the up and down arrows for climb and descent. And if you look at the program, we can see the top of descent is actually programmed in 172 nautical miles from now. So that should be good. Now, one huge thing that is missing in this plane is the VNAV. There is a button on the VNAV, but it doesn't seem to work. And I've reported that as well. And other people have reported that. So hopefully it's coming. But right now, there is the top of descent indicator on the radar, but it doesn't do anything. You have to manually descend. So it's a good guideline, but you have to, it's a bit like semi-automatic piloting, not fully automatic, which is a shame because of this luxurious plane. I would have expected everything is like fully set up, fully automatic. But that's fine. It gives me a bit more to do. Alright, but that is set up. So now that the route is set up, we can power off the avionics again. And now we can start the engine. So I'm going to, as I mentioned, I'm going to skip some of the stuff here. Let me just put in, now I'm not really sure which lights I should have, but basing on the 737, should have my nav turned on because I'm connected to the ground power unit. Enable my beacons as well. And then we'll switch to arm the ignition. Turn on ECU for both engines. You'll have an indicator here as well for the warnings. So once all the warnings are gone, you are more or less good to go. It's a good guideline. So you don't really need to always refer to the checklist. And then there are locks here. Actually, let me just remove this guy. Yeah, because it's blocking. There's the lift dump, which is pretty interesting. I don't think other planes have that. I can zoom in here. And I can adjust the trim for takeoff. Let's put that somewhere in the middle. I'm not sure how to compute that actually, like in the 737. So I'm just going to keep it in the green range. Set everything to normal. Over here, let's hide the yoke for now. Let's turn on the anti-skid. Turn off bleed for now. Keep that low. I don't think these are really harmful. In reality, they might be, but I've started my engines no problem with the bleed air just at normal. But I think to be proper, they should be off. So I'll just simulate that. Boost pump should be at auto. We're good, and I think now we can actually start the engine. So let me go back here. What we'll need to do, let's start engine 2 first. This is the starter, this yellow button here. So after I press it, you'll see that N2 will start to climb there. It's a bit small. Once that hits 18, we can actually put it to idle, and I have to remove the locks though. And then we can actually push that to idle here, the idle detent, because right now it's in cutoff. And what we'll need to do is monitor the temperatures. The ITT, that white thing, that white arrow will increase along with the N1, and then the ITT will stabilize. Yeah, so if it stabilizes like so, fuel flow is there, oil pressure is there, then we should be good to go. And then starter is cut off as well. And we can just do the same thing on the left engine. So N2 is climbing. Oil pressure is starting. Once that hits 18, we can go to idle. That introduces the fuel. And now ITT is climbing along with N1. After a while, ITT will stabilize. I'm not sure if any failures are modeled in, but I'm hoping we don't encounter any of them because I will have no clue how to work with them, if ever. Alright, so the engines are on, but actually the generators are still off, so you'll see those warnings. Left and right generators are off. So what we'll need to do is to flick that here. You set that, on and reset, and now those warnings are gone. And if you look at the voltage, right gen has 28, left gen 28, so that's good. So that means we can now actually turn off the remove the GPU, and that will increase the amps on both the left and right engines. So if I remove the GPU here, you can see them climbing. Later the ones on the right will climb as well. It's a bit finicky. They don't climb at the same time, and I'm not exactly sure why. And there we go. It's climbing a bit now. Yeah, they're balancing now, bit by bit. Yeah, so they'll even out. Good. Actually, I should have closed everything before we started this, but fine. So let's close the main door. Let's actually load up the people already. So let me go to X economy, start the flight. There we go. So now that actually reset my fuel and the payload, how heavy we are, the same way as how it is set up in FS economy. So the 385 kilograms and the 220 gallons of fuel. But that is specified in kilograms, so it's a bit confusing. So now we can close the let me go through here, close the baggage doors. Yeah, and yes, normally you wouldn't have the engine on before you do this, but that's fine. There we go, and now we are ready. Good. So now we should be able to turn on the no smoking and seatbelt signs. And what else do we need? Actually, I'm not sure which are the taxi lights here. I'm guessing that's the recog. But let me know in the comments, okay? Strobes we don't need yet. We need that before we cross the runway, before we get into the runway. And the avionics, of course, we can turn on now again because the engine has started. Okay, good to go. So now we can fully make that transparent. The ACO. Good. What else? Some quirks I found. Very minor. This is always mentioned as flight level, the altitude selector. So you select the altitude using this knob here, and that changes the altitude that is specified there, but it's always FL, and it kind of is a bit quirky because normally I'm assuming that should follow the transition altitude we set in the FMS. In our case, it's 18,000. So everything below 18,000 should be listed as the exact altitude, and only 180 and above should be listed as a flight level. At least from P1D's videos, I see that as like 12,000, like the entire number is listed. It's a very small thing, but you know, every bit counts, you know. So I'm hoping they fix that eventually. All right, we are good to go there. Let's so we'll be cruising at 330, but for now, let's say that ATC gave us a clearance of up to 12,000 feet only. Just for now. Okay, and there are a couple of things you can change here. I don't think I'll go through them now, but you can customize this. You can even change the settings, the units, and we'll need to plug in our V1, VR, and V2, by the way. Yes, so let's go do that now. So if we go to customize and weight balance, we'll see our total weight. We can actually compute that as well. The base weight will always be 3765. You just add the fuel and the payload, which is 385 based on FS economy. So right now it's 4,800 kilos. So what we can do from there, 4,800 will refer to the performance table. Takeoff speeds. Okay, 4,800 kilos is around here, middle of these two rows. And we'll have to look at the static air temperature. I'm guessing that is the SAT right there, which is 25 degrees. I'm hoping that's right. So 25 degrees is somewhere in between these two. So we see the crossing there. We should be somewhere between around this quadrant, around this range. Okay. So I'm just going to plug in our arbitrary values. Okay. So maybe 101 VR, 101 V1, 107 VR. So we can change that here. 101, 107 VR, and V2. Let's put in 107, 120. Might not be the best way to compute it, but it should not be. It should not need to be exact anyway. We can like feel it. So, and what this does mainly is it puts some markers in the speed tape, so you know when you should rotate. It doesn't call it out like in the 737, Zibo 737, like V1 rotate. No callouts like that, but I mean, you can look at that speed tape. There's also the N1 ref. I haven't been able to make this work. You guys let me know how to make that work, okay? Because it is part of the checklist, the N1 ref. I'm not sure if you plug that in the FMS, but I haven't seen it there. So you guys let me know, okay? There's also the VREF for the landing later on, but yeah, let's worry about that later because our weight will still change once we chug along, once we consume some fuel, okay? And with that said, I think we are good to taxi. Yes? Let me go to Sky Vector and show you where we are. So with Sky Vector, let's go to Fort Lauderdale. So we are actually, that's going to be our route more or less. Yeah. Going east and then south, crossing the sea or the ocean to Cuba. Is that really Cuba? I hope so. I'm a bit lost. I'm not from these parts. Okay. And let's open the airport diagram here so I can show you where we are exactly. We are actually positioned somewhere along this area in the upper left corner, if you can see my mouse. And then we'll be taking off at runway 10L, 10 left. So it's actually going to be a very short taxi. We'll be going through Alpha here. So we'll be going straight, turning right, and then turning left, and we're already there. So it's going to be a pretty short taxi. Yeah, I purposely put it there because I didn't want to taxi that long. Anyway, okay, so now I can turn on track IR. Like I mentioned, I'm going to skip some of the checklists, alright? But it should still work pretty fine. What's that missing there? Pitot heat, okay. Let's also enable the pitot heat over here. Let me also turn on the stall warning, auto for stabilizer, and that should be good. Ice protection, not really. It's quite hot here, 25.9 degrees Celsius. Whew, that feels familiar. I'm from Singapore, so it's a bit along. It's actually cold if you look at Singapore standards. Okay, good. Now this jet is pretty quiet because the engines are way back there, so it's normal that you don't hear it purr as much. But if you go to the external view, you can actually hear it better, like that one, right? Making sure I'm not missing my turn here because I am not focused enough. There we go. Just taxi through here, and maybe I should turn off the music, so you can focus on the sounds. There. You can hear it mildly, very subtle. It's a bit violent braking. I don't have rudder pedals, so the braking I have is only from a button that is provided by X-Plane. Okay, here we are. Hold short of runway 10L. Let me double check that everything is set up. Lights, landing lights, recog are on. Wing lights, I'm not sure what those are for. I'm guessing those are only for checking the wing and checking if there's icing happening, but otherwise I don't think you need that on. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Strobe lights, we need that on now, and we'll keep that on for the rest of the flight. Aside from that, I think we are good to go. Let's go to nav here, and let's go to legs here. Okay, actually we can go to prog as well. Let's go to prog. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, VNAV doesn't work, so you will see that pink thing there will always be in the middle. So if you just press VNAV and wait for it to climb you out to your specified cruise altitude, it will not work. Even if you set, right now these are blank, even if you set altitudes here, it doesn't seem to work. So yeah, it's a bit finicky right now, but I hope they will fix that, because VNav is really one of the most important things that I'm looking at. Let's unlock that. That one is used later on for landing, but I'm guessing for like rejected takeoffs and whatnot, you need that on as well, and that's why we also arm the ignition. So now we are ready for takeoff. And now we can really hear the purring of the engine. And I'll mention some of the quirks as well as we fly along, as we do this. Okay, but yeah, it will be quite a long flight, so I might need to accelerate the time later on, but it should be fine. I'll find a way. Okay, just line up here, hold the brakes, set the heading, set runway heading, right? That yes, and yes, you can click it. And what I see P1D doing is he actually like accelerates the throttle a bit, builds up some revs to make sure that the engine is accelerating fine and on the same levels on both engines. And then when it's high enough, he lets go of the brakes and then fully takes off like so, for a bit more professional look. Airspeed is alive. Going to try to stay in the center line here. We're approaching V1 and now we are at VR. Climb like so. Positive rate. Let's bring those gears up. You can see them nice and like that. From what I've heard, you don't even need to tap the brakes, because I'm guessing there's some mechanism with the gear retraction which actually helps with the tires stopping after you retract the gears. At least that's what P1D said in one of his vids. Okay, so now we can actually turn on the yaw damper and the autopilot. Let's go to nav so that it will follow the flight path, the flight plan we have, but the altitude will not be affected. So what I do is I turn on FLC here, flight level change, and that is set to 220 knots right now. So what this will do is it will climb up to our specified altitude, which is 12,000 at the speed indicated. So it will keep 220. So that will help us not stall, hopefully. Do I need the ice? Not really. I don't think so. Yeah, temperature is 16 degrees. Should be fine. Oh, that is beautiful. That is priceless. That's my favorite thing here. Going through the clouds and just seeing the sky afterwards. That transition is beautiful. Okay, so takeoff is done. I think I can turn off the ignitions now, because from when I watch P1D's videos, I don't see any light here, so I'm assuming he turns them off at one point. We can turn on engine sync. We can lock this. Yeah, that is important that it's locked. You should never enable that when you're flying. That's only upon landing. And the main purpose of that thing is so the plane really touches the ground and sticks to the ground, so that when you brake, the full brakes are in effect. So it helps you really land and keep on the ground, removes all that lift. Hence the term lift dump. Makes sense, right? Okay, there you go. So we're now climbing at 3,600 feet per minute. That will lessen and lessen as we go along, and I think I should actually lessen the throttle here. From what I know, the takeoff throttle is only for the first few minutes of takeoff, and then you should actually level it down while you're climbing to around 80%. There should be a detent there, yeah, for norm takeoff, something like that, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think flaps should be up all the way during takeoff. I think. I haven't been able to find a definitive guide on that. Alright, so we're now at 10,000 feet. I can actually turn off my landing and recon lights. Let's turn off the seat belts as well. And when we're 1,000 feet from our indicated altitude, we will get a very loud warning, so keep your ears covered for that. Okay, something changed with the flight plan. We are moving to the next waypoint now. You can actually see that here as well. There we go. That's the 1,000 feet to go. And let's assume that ATC actually gave us a higher clearance now. Let's say 190. Flight level 190. Once we reach flight level 180, I can reset the the pressure to standard. And how I can do that is I can just click this knob here. But that will be happening later. When we hear the next chime, that's my signal, because by that time we'll be at flight level 180, 1,000 feet before flight level 190, and that's a guide for me. So I can do that. Okay, everything looks good. Otherwise, no warnings whatsoever. I probably missed a few steps. If I did, let me know in the comments. One major thing that might turn you off of this plane is you cannot, at the moment, this initial release version, you cannot actually use the transponder properly. So when you're working with VATSIM and whatnot, and when they ask you to ident, to turn on, you cannot turn on or off the transponder at will. And it's a huge issue for some people, especially if they're playing the multiplayer. For me, I'm not really working with ATC, so it's not a problem. But if you're like playing with VATSIM on, I don't think you can fly this plane yet. That's one of the deal breakers for some people. So hopefully they fix that immediately. It's been getting a lot of comments in the forums. So actually I don't even know where it is. Is it this one? Transmit? 1, 2? That's because in the checklist it says so. But how do you ident? Maybe that one? No, I don't know. I don't have a clue. So you guys help me out as well. I know you can set the transponder here in ATC, but you cannot set the status. So it will be automatic. When the plane takes off, I think it turns on automatically. But that means you cannot ident manually while you're still on the ground or something like that. So it's a bit incompatible with some of the requests from ATC, from air traffic control. Okay. Aside from that, I think we're good. What are some of the other quirks I found? The ISA seems to be bugged. You can see here ISA plus 25. I don't think it goes that high. If you look at the ISA on the FMC, it's actually different. The one in the FMC is correct. If you look at prog, and I go to the next page here, you can see the ISA deviation is actually just 6 degrees. Something is wrong. Cabin altitude high. Okay, something is definitely wrong. That's red. Did I miss something? Oh, the bleed air maybe. Yeah. So that's probably not pressurizing properly. Hopefully that disappears as we turn on the bleed air. I'm hoping that is the only problem. Otherwise, passengers will get killed. No. Let's not talk about that. Okay. So let me know what I did wrong there. I probably missed a huge step. Cabin alt high. Yeah. I'm hoping that disappears. I don't think I missed any other step. Well, we should turn on the windshield heaters as well. I think that's this one. Oxygen is green, but how do you tell? Cabin alt, this one, right? Cabin alt high, it says. Yeah, cabin alt high. So I'm guessing that should normalize later. Let's give it a few. give it a few. Hopefully it will disappear later on. Okay. But yeah, that's just a evidence that I don't really know much about the plane yet, but I'm really loving it, even if it has some of those quirks. So yeah, the ISA is inconsistent. You could see plus 30, plus 40 already. There we go. That's the chime, so that means we can actually go to standard altimeter setting now. And let's say we've gotten better clearance. Let's go and hit flight level change again, because it reset already. And now let's go to the final altitude for cruising, which is 330, I think is what I set up. Let me just double check that that is indeed what I set up. And cruise, flight level 330. Right now we're still in the climb phase. You can see that's still active there. Once we start cruising, this will become active. But yeah, it's a bit manual. It doesn't descend you, it doesn't ascend automatically. You have to do it on your own. Yeah, you can see the thing is still there. Just keeps in that view. We're good. I think we're good there. What else am I missing? It's still red though. What am I missing, guys? Maybe it doesn't fix itself once you've have had that issue. Cabin out. That's the one. 3,000 feet. Cabin rate. This one, what is this for? I only know that you can keep it at auto and it will help with the pressurization automatically, but maybe we should do something else, huh? If I put the bleed too high, does that help? I don't really know. Okay, well, let's just ignore that problem. But I'm sure I'll get a lot of flack on that in the comments. But yes, you guys let me know and teach me how to avoid that in the future. I'm guessing that's the bleed air. But maybe there is something else completely. We'll see. Okay, now looking at this, we are 10 miles from Bama. We are 125 miles till the top of descent, so that's good. We still have a lot of room to go. It does seem though, and I'm not sure, this is just my personal opinion, although I've seen some other similar opinions in the forums, the plane seems a bit weaker than usual. At least based, if you compare it from P1D, from Premier 1 driver's plane, this one seems slower and weaker. So I'm not sure if the power is realistic enough. But it seems like it goes lower and climbs lower as well. So I'm not really sure. Maybe it warrants another look. Let's go to the external view and have a look at the beauty of this plane. That works for me, doesn't it? Let's take a screenshot. That is actually beautiful. That is a beauty. Shit. Just flying through the clouds, there is definitely something. Whoa, 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 whoa. If we go back, I think something went wrong. Okay, there you go. We're back again. And the warning is still there. Alright, fine. Oh, that is beautiful, isn't it? November 461 Kilo Tango reporting from the wing. And that's like one of the usual views from B1D, along with this one, the front. That's where his GoPros are located. That's something we get here now as well. And this is just so cool, you know, when you watch a real pilot flying a real plane, and then you get to fly the exact plane in your sim. It's an amazing feeling. I know some of you guys can relate. So yeah, let's just keep that there. And what else have I found? So I'm really hoping the VNAV gets fixed, because yeah, right now everything is manual. And some of the minor quirks is the flight level, the ISA display there. Look at that now, it's down plus 62. Yeah. I guess that's pretty hot, huh? What else am I missing here? Lights, you don't really need any right now. Cabin, let's go to the cabin. Let's look at from the right wing. Look at how beautiful that is. Become a passenger. Just chill here. Enjoy the flight. Or not. Or maybe use the table for something, drinks or whatnot. There should also be a toilet behind. I'm not sure if it's modeled in actually. Let's go and check. Normally this is let me take you for a tour inside the cab. So normally this is where the drinks are. Yeah, the glasses, drinks, snacks. Can you actually do that? No, that's only for the door. Okay, let's keep that open. And here at the back, I guess is where the bathroom is. I'm not sure if it's modeled in. Let's see. This might be where the fake window is actually. Let's count. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is where the fake window is. See, it's not really a window. And the bathroom, the toilet actually is... I don't know where it is. Maybe it should be here, but it's not modeled in. Maybe it's unsanitary. You can actually take someone prisoner here at the back. To be in the open position for takeoff and landing, I see. But yeah, look at the beauty of that modeling. That is exactly how it looks like. I can actually change this as well. Oh, nice. Go to the passenger view. I was able to tweak that a while ago. Oh, this one. Okay. The lights. Guess that's the air conditioning. Yeah, more or less. That's okay. Oh, that's a beauty. Alright, let's go back. We are back and we are still climbing. Top of descent, 100 miles away. So at this point, I think we can actually just fast forward. I'm just really irritated with that error there. Cabin altitude. Should I... It is climbing there. What is that for? Difference in pressure. It is climbing more and more. So I'm guessing I'm really doing something wrong. Shouldn't be that high, I think. Let's go and check from the normal procedures. Maybe there is an emergency procedure for it. But I remember there is something for altitude. Pressurization. Let's look for the bleed. Bleed air, normal or high, as required for the climb. Okay. Yeah. Let's go and check if there is something in the emergency procedures for that when that happens, so we can also take a look what's here. How do you convert this? Read mode. There you go. Certain components, engine systems. Okay. Engine failure during takeoff. Engine fire. I'm not sure if these are all modeled in, these failures. But yeah, I'm hoping we don't get a chance to encounter them. Low oil pressure. Let's see if there's something for the cabin. Overspeed. Emergency landing. Ditching procedures. Smoke or fire. Bleed air. Cockpit alternate. Electrical fire. Environmental systems. Ah, that one. That one. Cabin alt high. Crew oxygen masks. Dawn. Okay. Mic select. Emergency. Okay, let's follow this one. Let's see if this works. Crew oxygen masks. Let's don them. If you turn off track IR, helps with the scrolling. I think that's the one, but I don't think you can really wear them. Okay, but that's like role playing. Don them. Mic select emergency. Cabin altitude check. Okay, so I saw that a while ago. Emergency. Yeah, this one, I think. That one. Emergency. Does that do anything? Not really. Okay, moving on. Cabin altitude check. If cabin altitude is greater than 12,500 feet, okay. Okay, what is cabin altitude? I'm guessing it is higher. It is, what? Times 1,000. It is 11, 12, 13, 14. It is around 11,000. So it's not really that high. Determine cause of pressure loss. If cabin altitude continues to rise, pressurization manual, select less than 10,000 feet. Okay. So bleed air should be high. And then pressurization is currently 8,000. But we can actually set that to manual. And what does that do? That's actually increasing even more. Oh, keep that auto. There you go. Now it's off. Auto, there you go. Does that change stuff? No, that's actually only making us climb more. It's getting harder and harder to breathe, guys. Okay, let's see this. Okay, passenger oxygen deploy. Is that something that we can simulate? Is the pressure still climbing? It is. Okay. And why did it get darker all of a sudden? Oh, I guess this is the hypoxia thing. Yeah. It's actually, we're actually losing oxygen already. Oh, that's very bad. Okay. Oh no. Game over. Okay. And I am back. Yeah, I think I did something wrong with the bleed air there. It might be the main culprit, because when I set that to normal, when I didn't forget to turn it on, the cabin pressure seems to be fine. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. So I think we are good there. That's the main miss. But that was all intentional. That was mainly to demonstrate that the failures are indeed modeled into the aircraft. Yeah, so very cool. Set that back here. Yeah. All right. So now we're back on track. We are cruising at flight level 270. I changed the flight level a bit because 330 seemed a bit too intense. And we are now pretty close to the top of descent. We can see that the top of descent is 31 nautical miles away. And we can actually look at that here. If I increase the range, then you see the top of descent there. But as I mentioned, that is mainly for visual purposes. You cannot really, it will not descend even if you click VNAV. So we'll have to do it on our own. But I do have a way to simulate that as close as possible. So I'll tell you all about it. One more quirk I found is that the radar here, it seems to be lacking a bit in terms of the range. You know, you can zoom in and out, right? Normally the range should be mentioned, like there should be a number right here where my mouse is. Like this should be 100 and that should be 200. And when you zoom in, for example, that should be 50 and 100, things like that. So that you get a feel of how zoomed in or out you are. And I saw that from P1D's video, said indeed there is a number there, so I might have to report that. But yeah, fine. So right now, yeah, I have no clue absolutely how close that is. So what I can do is that's 20 miles away. And if I see that's 20 miles, so this must be 10, right? Something like that. That's the ballpark figure. Not very accurate, but that's as close as I can give. Also, I did refer to the performance tables. So if we look at the ISA deviation, don't follow that. Plus 75, that's for sure bugged. But if you look at the program in the FMS, ISA deviation is only actually 2 degrees, positive 2. So that's close as possible to ISA. And if you look at the performance table, and performance table is here. High speed cruise is what I chose, 27,000 feet. ISA at around this weight, we should be somewhere in between these two, should be around 0.75 Mach indicated airspeed. Percent RPM should be 104.2. That's actually pretty intense. Yeah, that's I think top speed. But when I do that, indeed, I'm almost there at the 100%. Yeah, because the revs are more than 100%. 104.2. I do reach that max 0.75. True airspeed of 454. So it is exactly as in the performance tables. So what I mean by that is that indeed the performance does seem to be accurate, at least when you compare it with the table. So it does seem to be modeled in properly. I'm just not sure what P1D's settings are, but I usually see his videos where his indicated airspeed is around the 300 knots range. So he might be using the high speed cruise instead of the long range one. Maybe yeah, I mean, he's rich, so he doesn't need to worry about fuel economy so much. I'm just not sure if that will be enough fuel for us. That's left and right tanks, 381 kilos left. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, now we are 5 miles from the top of descent. We can also see that here, that circle, and we can give it a chance. Yeah, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. I can hit VNav here. Not that does anything. You can also click that, but I'm not such a fan of that one. 2D panels I'm not such a fan of. I really like clicking it here in the actual 3D panel. Gives me a bit more immersion in there. And we should be 1 mile away. Top of descent, we should be right there. And now that we've hit it, then it should start descending. I did hit VNav, right? Oh, but I did not set the altitude, dang it. Yeah, so maybe that's it. Alright, but yeah, I did set that before. Okay, let's just give it one more chance. I hit VNav, that's probably not going to work. And that's not working. What if I hit descend now? Will it work? If I go to cruise, it's now in descent. So now actually it's nothing. It's not even activated here. But if I set that to strange. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to trigger at all. Normally there would be a descend now, but because we're past the top of descent already, I'm guessing it doesn't consider that anymore. So we have to do that on our own. So okay, it doesn't work. Automated descent doesn't work, so we have to do that on our own. So what I do is you can do that in 2 ways. You can set vertical speed to negative, like set that, or you can change it to pitch and then set the pitch lower. Like you can see the flight director there. That's 2.5 degrees. And we'll have to slow down because I am terribly going to be going beyond the structural integrity, or however you call it, those red markers on the speed tape. So that's around 2.5 degrees of descent, and we can simulate how the FMS does it by simply going to the top of descent and then setting up a 3-degree pitch down. So that will be as close as possible to what it wants us to do, to what it should be doing if we're up on its own. And if we consider the speed of descent here, which is 290, then we can copy that along those lines, right? So we should land exactly where it was planning to in the first place, based on its schedule. But we'll see if that works. We'll see. Okay. But I really like that. So you don't really have to rely so much on the vertical speed. You can actually specify the pitch as well, and that will adjust the vertical speed accordingly. But that's much better for the FMS degree of descent, or however you call it. Now that descent has started, I'm guessing we have to do a couple of things. An approach, we should do some stuff, but in the meantime, let's go and check MUCC. MUCC, I don't think there's even an ATIS. Yeah, there's only the tower frequency. Winds are still at 080, and even the QNH is a different unit of measure, so at least we can get the chance to try out the settings in the PFD. So it's 1016. So what we need to do is we need to change the references, the pressure, change the unit. Do that there, and you can see that's different now, HPA, and now we can set that to 1016 later. But yeah, we can do that later once we hit 18,000. And because I set flight level 170, once we hit 180, we should get that chime, which is an oral, how do you say, a cue for me that I have to do something, because I usually forget that part. Okay, and the cabin pressure, still good? Yeah, we're still good. So yes, indeed, that was what I forgot. It's nice that that's modeled in. I thought that was all fake. I thought that was just a couple of knobs with no effect. Alright. Ah, yes, P1D views. This one is not though. This one is our own. That is P1D's view as well, but only when the plane is still on the ground. So we can show them actually like riding the plane and stuff like that. But yeah, I highly recommend you watch his videos if you haven't already. I am such a huge fan. That's why I really took the opportunity to buy the plane even without any reviews online yet. I bought the plane, tried it on my own, and checked out the different quirks. Yes. Now, what I don't know so far, and you'll see it later as we do our approach. There we go, that's the reminder. Set it to 1016. There you go, 1016. That should be good enough. Right? And that should be okay there. Are we still on that 3-degree descent? Is that 3 degrees? Oh crap. Yeah, I kind of forgot to set it down, but fine. Let's just do that again. Let's handle the... no, not flight level. No. Don't screw it up. Pitch. Should be pitch and then lower down. There you go. And let's go down all the way to 2,000 feet. So that's 020. Yeah, at this point I would prefer if it's really saying 2,000 feet. Just a little bit of OSINess on my end, but increases the immersion. So how do you say 3 degrees? Because that's 10, that's 5, so that's 2.5, so 3 degrees is somewhere here lower, I guess. Maybe I should just set up for 2.5 so it's easier, huh? So it's exactly on that line. That might be why the default is 2.5. Okay, but that's cool. That is cool, we can manage that. So descending, take a look here. So this is one of those things, ILS. I want to set the ILS up. So we can set the nav 1 and 2 to 109.9. And I can go here for that. So I can set 109. And in this case, I have to put the dot in. 109.9. I actually have it set up already for nav 1 and 2. But that's how we do it. Alright. And then the course has to be, let's see, 78, I believe. Yeah, 78. So if we set 78 here, we can set that to course 2. But the course 1, actually we cannot. Because I guess that's locked with the FMS, depending on what we're looking at. But that should change later when we are facing the runway. That should become 78 as well. And from there, we should be able to capture the localizer, I think. But I must be missing an item because I don't think it works on my end. We'll see though, we'll see. Like, normally there should be the glide slope appearing here, somewhere here I think. A new bar with a star. And I made that appear already with RNAV, but with ILS not so. So I'm guessing I have some missing step in there. I'm just not sure what it is. Yeah, I'm just not sure what it is. But we'll try to figure it out together. And if all else fails, then we'll just do a visual approach. Hopefully the weather will not be that bad. If you look here, overcast, what is that? 10,000? I'm not sure how to read this yet. Yeah, I'm still not at that point. This one is the wind. That is 050 variable 110. You let me know, okay? You let me know about that. Okay. Amps are good. No warnings, that's good. As we are doing our approach soon. Okay, at 10,000 feet. Let me actually turn on the... Oh, I turned off the wrong thing earlier. Fasten seatbelt signs. Landing lights, I did not turn off. And everything has been turned off as well. Don't mind me. That was just because I screwed up the first flight. And I was rushing to do the second flight. But at least now we have the proper cabin pressure, right? Dang, that stuff. That stuff. And actually, yeah, I made something wrong there again. I'm not sure how Cuba has the rules, but normally you would need to have 250 knot limit on the altitude, right? So this is actually illegal already in US rules. It should be at 250 knots only indicated. Good thing no one's looking. Let's keep it our secret. Now you know why I'm called Clumsy. Yeah, but we can slow it down. Just tapping the throttle bit by bit. I do like that red indicator though of where you are and where your speed is headed. Gives you a very nice indication of how things are looking like. Air temperature 9.1 and climbing as we're descending. That's good. So I don't think we are at any risk for icing. So I won't enable them. I'm not sure if they're modeled in actually, but yeah, fine. Okay. We're almost at 250 knots. We're almost legal. We're almost there. Good. And we are pretty close to the approach. Yeah, that's actually the runway right there. Maybe we can zoom in a bit, get a better view. Yeah, so we're actually like approaching at left base. Turning left there. And then we should see the localizer already. But yeah, as I mentioned, I'm missing a step and I'll need your help, guys. Course is still 178. That will become 78 as we turn. But even with the nav 1 and 2 set to the correct frequency. Actually, you know what? Maybe I can do something. If I open the map and I look at MUCC. MUCC, yeah, that one. Can actually show it. Shouldn't I be able to select here though? That one, yes. It is 109.9. And if course is 78, yeah, indeed. And if I tune nav 1 and nav 2, that will be the same as what I did already manually over there, 109.9. Is it raining? It seems like it's raining, huh? Oh man, weather is not very good. Dang. Should I turn on the wipers or something? Are there wipers on this plane? let's just hope that it works. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. And yeah, so the descent actually works. We're at 2,000, almost right where the we meet the where we should be at 1.5 more or less. Yeah, so that's not bad actually. So now I can set the altitude to 1.5 and just do vertical speed, a very shallow descent along the way. Hopefully the clouds clear up. Otherwise I will really need to land via ILS. Can do a visual landing here. But we'll see. Let's make that a little bit steeper. Let me check if I hit VNav here. Will it do something? Not really. Well, actually it does. No, it just doesn't do anything because I'm on vertical speed already. Man, weather is really bad. How are the winds like? 9 knots, 10 knots, but exactly on the runway heading, so that's perfect. So that should be good. Alright, we are almost there. Let me hit the... Oh man, I still can't see anything. This is bad. This is bad. Hang in there. Oh my goodness, that is so bad weather. We're going to clear the clouds anytime soon. Yeah, see, the course is now 78. Nav is good. But I'm not sure where the approach is. Yeah, I'm almost there. Look at that. I'm almost at the 3-degree glide slope. So I should be able to capture it soon, right? But there is no indication at all here. Oh, there it is. There's something. Okay, let's try that. Once we're inside, can I hit approach? Will it change? Approach FMS. Does it do anything? No, it doesn't seem to do anything. Oh, it does. No, it doesn't. Okay, I was just really hoping. So we'll have to descend on our own. Like, how would you turn off autopilot in this case, right? Seeing nothing at all. Flying blind without the ILS. Without any localizer whatsoever. There we go. There we go. We can manage it, guys. We can have a chance at this, guys. It's not going to be a good landing, but as long as we make it in one piece, I'm going to be happy. As I mentioned, I'm no expert, but I do love the plane. So, let's make it work. Landing gear is down. Flaps. One more level. We're too low, actually. And my VREF is... it's not been adjusted properly, but flaps are fully down, ready for landing. And let's set it up. Weather is super bad. We're a bit high. That's fine, we'll make a way. Go to idle. Let's just take our time. Bit hard landing, a bit floaty, and that's why we actually need this. The lift dump, yeah, that currently does not have a hotkey. I think that requires a hotkey, absolutely. But Yeah, we made it in one piece, guys. Let's watch the replay later. But yeah, it was kind of a hard landing, and I forgot to turn off the yaw damper. That should be disabled right before landing. I thought that got disabled together when you turn off autopilot, but apparently not. Okay, let's just clear the runway and then we can clean up. I didn't even turn on the ignition. Yeah, lots of things didn't go right here. There you go. Bring up the flaps. And let's make our way somewhere. Let's just stop somewhere. I do like the drops though. I'm not sure if this is thanks to Librain or anything. I installed it, but I wasn't really sure what it does or how it looks rather. So maybe this is it. Yeah, very bad weather here, but is the plane still in one piece? Yes, it is. So I'm happy. Even if it doesn't look too happy with my piloting skills. So we should be able to stop somewhere along those lines. Yeah, that should be okay. What does it look like? You know what, I'll just stop here because I'm not sure how these lines are for, what these are for. I'm guessing maybe something like, probably not, huh? But it looks like a very nice parking area for me, and I'm the only one here, so why not? Yeah, that's not too bad. If you like look at that as the parking area, it's not too shabby. Alright, good. Let us turn off avionics. We still have a lot of fuel, that's good. Let us turn off the engine now. Turn off the generators. Turn off battery. Now I'm sure there was a better way of doing that, but that should do. That would do. Let's finish the flight. Finally I finished it. Total flight time 1 hour. Did that for like, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times already, every time failing. So if you refresh this, okay, that's good. Log, we earned 1,900. Not the best because we're not full, but that was a good warm-up. And yeah, I really like this plane. Has a couple of quirks, but I enjoy it. Hopefully they fix it more in the later versions, and hopefully those later versions come into play very, very soon. Before I let you go, let's just see how that landing went. And yeah, maybe you guys can help me out with the how to set up the ILS, because it didn't really make it work for me. Maybe I missed a step, or maybe there's something wrong with the plane. You guys let me know, okay? There it is at idle. It looks good actually, a bit floaty. There we go. Oh, I shouldn't have nosed up there, because even at idle this thing really flies. Even at idle, if you flare too much, it really bounces that way. And then you can see here when I made the lift dump, those are like the speed brakes plus all the stuff here, like those ones. Yeah, that's the lift dump. Really helps with the braking. So yeah, that also needs a hotkey. I hope a future version includes a hotkey for that, because looking down, yeah, it's going to be, while you're landing like this, it's going to be very, very difficult. Alright. So yeah, I'll leave it there, guys. Sorry for the long video, but hopefully you enjoyed that one. Thanks for watching. If you did like this video, please don't forget, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, and yeah, subscribe. and click that bell icon so you get notifications, because I will for sure be making more videos of this, and hopefully I get better in the future, because for sure there's a lot of room for improvement. But I enjoyed it. Hopefully you did too. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day, and catch you in the next one. Clumsy flying. Bye-bye.